Hello, everyone, and welcome. I'm Allie from Fundy Software. Thank you for joining us today on this webinar with Ben Hartley of Style and Story Creative. And a special thank you to our friends at Miller's Professional Imaging who are co-hosting with us today. We love their products. And don't forget, Fundy Designer has a really exciting update coming out in March. We're just a few weeks away from launching Card Designer, Design Library, all of these amazing features that are just going to be so great for your business. We are really excited. You can see a lot more about that over on our website at fundy.com. And I'm here on the Fundy side if you have any questions. Other than that, I'm just going to let Ben take it away.
Yeah, thank you so much, Allie. Hey, everyone. Welcome. This is Rad. Thanks for being here. So look, as she said, I'm here with Style and Story Creative. We are a Columbus-based studio, wedding photography studio here in Ohio. There are 5 of us. Just killing it here. And this is all we do is just weddings. So albums and print are a really critical component to what we do. But really, you guys, again, there's 5 of us here. That means we've got to book up an entire calendar year for 5 full-time photographers. And so there's a lot of ways that we do this. There's a lot of techniques, a lot of strategies, things like that. But print, albums, it's a huge component to actually our lead generation, our marketing strategy. And the really cool thing that I freaking love about print and about albums is, well, again, it's one of our strongest pieces of actually marketing, but it's one of the few that actually, hold on, before I even say this line, when you go to sign up for The Knot or Wedding Wire or Junebug, where you go to a bridal show, do they ever pay you? Do they ever pay you to show up to these things so that way you can get more leads in the door? My guess is, unless you're a really big deal, that they don't, right? My guess is they don't. But the thing that's amazing about print, that's amazing about albums and Card Designer, is that when done properly with the right strategies, these tools will bring in a ton of business for you. And on top of it, they're going to pay you to do it, which is just so rad. It's so rad. And so look, if you're a photographer and you're part-time and you're wanting to go full-time, even if you're just a full-time studio and you're just wanting to increase your revenue, prioritizing print in your studio, it's really a must. You can't afford not to do it. And so I want to talk about 4 things that we do, 4 ways that we incorporate print, that we incorporate albums, Card Designer, to help generate revenue. So that's the plan. Along the way, I'm going to be showing you how we integrate with Millers, how we integrate with Fundy to make this so it just doesn't suck. I don't know what else to say. So it doesn't. I really don't want the process to suck for you guys. And Fundy and Millers make it so it doesn't. It's actually kind of fun, believe it or not. And so I thought it'd actually be helpful because I don't know where everyone's at, just to kind of start from legit ground zero. What happens when we've got all of our pictures edited, we've got them loaded up on ShootProof or whatever the site is that you're going to be using, and you're going to go start to make an album. I just want to kind of step you through the process. And as I do this, talk about the 4 points that we're going to be touching on. And so I should probably start with point number 1, right? If you're wanting to increase your leads for 2018 and 19, especially 2019, the first thing is this. You need to have an album in every single client's hand. If they want you to show up and photograph the event, then they get an album. It doesn't matter if it's just a reception, I don't care. Even if it's just a reception, they're getting an album. Every single client of yours must have an album. It's really it's got to be the number 1 rule. And the way that you go about doing this is you put it in every collection. You build it in, right? When you run all your numbers, when you figure out what this costs to have a client, build that in. Every single person starts with an album. Look, are they going to have a 12 by 12 leather album with deep matte paper that's 100 pages and an acrylic cover? No. You give them the cake, and then icing and sprinkles are extra. And so we're starting with maybe an 8 by 8 album. We're starting with a 10 by 10 album. We're starting with 20 pages, 30 pages, linen, something that gets the foot in the door, that provides them a value of print, and then creates an opportunity for them to get more, to choose to have more value if they want. So that's the first thing. Every single client needs to have an album. You guys, everyone always thinks about albums and talks about albums in regards to sales. You can generate, 10x your sales with albums, increase your sales with albums, yada, yada, yada. It's true. It's great. It's great to increase your sales with albums. Yes. But I tell you what, the year that you make sure that every single client of yours has an album sitting out in their home, not hidden away on a shelf or buried in a box, but sitting out in their home, that following year, you guys, I can almost guarantee like the amount of actual like word of mouth referrals directly, like the best kind of leads, by the way, right? These aren't like the not leads. These are like word of mouth, direct referrals from clients. It's going to be like at least 2-3x. Okay. Because every single time a family member or a friend walks into your client's home, sitting out on their coffee table is the most personalized, specific piece of marketing collateral for your business that the bride can't wait to talk about, right? And they're gonna ask, like, where'd you get these pictures taken? Like, yeah, like it's just gonna happen. You're gonna be talked about, and that's what we need. This is why you need to be prioritizing albums in your business, because you need to be in business. You guys, gone are the day where you could just show up and be like, I've got a great camera. I know what I'm doing. My pictures are good. Like everyone's pictures are good. Like we're all good, really, we are. That's like the cost of entry. It's the cost of doing business is to be good. And so we've got to do more. You really have got to do more to separate yourself. So everyone needs an album. If everyone is going to have an album, this better be streamlined. This better be simple. This better be exciting to do. And this is why we use Fundy, and this is why we use Millers, because the integration between these two things, the customer service, the speed, is what makes this stuff so great. Like in the past, look, I'll cut through it all. Like when you have an album company that is slow, if we have an album company where the customer service is not like top notch, making sure that every single client of yours has an album can become a lot to take on. It can become a lot to manage and a lot to bear. And this is why, again, choosing the right company that's going to actually deliver on their value to you is important. So I'm going to shut up and I'm going to jump in here to Fundy for a second. And we're going to talk about a little bit of the process. Actually, let's even rewind. Before we get to Fundy, let me share my screen with you guys. Before we get to Fundy, I like to be in photo mechanic, right? And so this is a wedding that my team and I, we photographed out in Lake Como, Italy. And so what we're going to be doing here is, this is essentially at the point of the stage where, the point of the process where we've edited all the photographs. We've already we've called all them down. We've edited the pictures in Lightroom, Photoshop, wherever you edit, and we've rendered out the images. So these are the final JPEGs that the client will receive. Now, from all, let's say there's 1,000 pictures that you're going to deliver to your client, right? Maybe you shoot a lot, you want to give them a lot, you've been with the client for a few days, you have 1,000 photographs. You're not going to design an album with all 1,000, right? It's just going to be too much to take in. It's going to be overbearing, both for yourself, but also the client. Like it's information overload. So what I like to do is use Photo Mechanic. I'm going to load Photo Mechanic up here. And look, if you're not familiar with Photo Mechanic, it is essentially like a new way to like, it's a finder window, essentially. It's a finder window where you get to just kind of see all your folder structure here, all of your file structure. And this is going to allow you to just go through and view all your images pretty much instantly and begin to select and make ratings. Now, the really cool thing about Fundy that I like is it actually views your star ratings. And so as you're going through these, you can be 3-starring things. You can also be zooming in here, a ridiculous shot of the groomsmen. But you can be like marking these things as you go. Okay. So I decided to narrow these down. It's usually about 200 images that I decide to build out my album with. All right. I just wanted to show you this process because I think it's really important to call your deliverable images down even further in something like Photo Mechanic or Lightroom before you bring them and start designing in Fundy. That all being said, let's hop over to Fundy. So again, I wanted to start from square one for you guys. And so I don't even have an album built yet. I don't even have anything built because I want to show you the full process that we take. And so we're going to go ahead, we're going to click on this button and we're going to go new album. Okay, from here, we're going to go over to our good friends Millers and we're going to click next. Now, I prefer to use the signature album with thick pages. And so we're going to start with that. We'll click next. This is where you're going to choose your size. You guys, look, everyone's got the preferences with size. What we do, there's a reason why we do what we do. So all of our formats are squares. So 12 by 12, You could do 10 by 10. I like to go, 8 by 8 being the smallest, but we'll talk about maybe even hopping down to a 5 by 5 in a little bit. But the reason I like this is because if a client wants to go up a size, or if they ever would want to go down a size, it's the same aspect ratio, right? There's no kind of new redesign that has to take place. So this is why I like going square. I think also when you open up a square album, I really enjoy the 1:2 ratio of a full page spread. So here we go. We're going to go 12 by 12. We're just going to stick with a basic cover. A lot of my albums, I really like to be a full leather spread or a full leather cover across it. And so here we've got all the review, and then we're going to go ahead and put the album name in. For the sake of this, I'm just going to type in Italy, create the album. Okay. Now, I've already brought in the images because I didn't want you guys to have to sit here and wait as I imported the photographs, right? And so down here are all the photographs. Again, like I mentioned, they do acknowledge star ratings. And so a neat thing that you can do is if you do have these organized by star ratings, you can just choose up here to filter, and you could choose to filter based off the star rating. So if you only want to be designing your album off of the 3 stars, you could do that, or off the 2 stars, you could do that. I'm going to be designing off of everything that I've already brought in. Now, look, what you want to be thinking about here is this whole idea of start with the broom, finish with the needle. I worked at a graphic design studio for a number of years, and this is what my boss at the time always told me: Ben, start with the broom, finish with the needle. I was an oil painting major. My professor, start with the broom, finish with the needle. And what I mean is, I think as creatives, we have this desire and this tendency to get in here and just start, let me put this photograph in here, I'll drag it up, and this one, and, let me go into here, and I just want this to look just right, and maybe this one. And we start kind of finessing things a little too soon. And look, it certainly is a way to go about it, but it's also not the most time sensitive way to go about things. So you need to start broad, start with the broom, start sweeping the floor with the broom, and then just start finessing it down more and more and more. And so what I like to do is, again, we've already started with the broom. We started with 1,000 pictures. We've narrowed that down to these 2 stars, which is 148 images right here. And
hey, so, Ben.
Yeah.
So I'm just going to interrupt you really quickly. Can you do me a favor and hit Command and then the tilde in the top left of your computer?
Just did it.
Okay. It's just an OpenGL thing. If you guys were noticing a little bit of flashing on your screen with the software, it's something that is part of the display. But anyways.
Thank you.
Keep going.
Yep. So now the next step, right, where our broom is shrinking here, we're going to go down to a nice little like hand-sized broom. And so we're going to go to the auto design. Okay. So we're going to click on auto design. What auto design is going to do is Fundy intelligently is going to auto design an album based off of the timestamp and labels of your images. Now, I haven't labeled any of these in regards to key images, full spread, that kind of stuff, but the timestamps are all present. And so, sure, we can kind of input here pages to design. 80 sounds great to me. 148 images. Yep, that's all the images. You can even now in the new update, you can choose the minimum page per spread and the minimum image per spread. The maximum image per spread. And over here, it's going to give you some really nice numbers. Now, this may not mean much to you right now, but like images per spread, 3.7. I think the sweet spot, and I learned this from Fundy himself, the sweet spot I think is like 2.5 images. Isn't that like the ideal like family size is like 1.5 kids? I think that's how it goes. Anyhow, so 3.7 images, whatever that 0.7 of an image looks like. But you get the point. That's how many images are going to go across a spread. And I'm going to go ahead and click this design button. Now, when I do this, boom, right off the bat, it's going to auto design this album instantly. Now, is this album done? No. Is this album dope? No. But does this album actually have a structure to it? Yes. And this is what's going to save us a ton of time, like you guys. Even the sheer amount of like clicking and shift clicking and dragging and moving stuff up time, like it really will save you time, this whole process. So here's what we need to do. I think I just accidentally dragged in a couple images there. Looks like we fixed it. So let's take a look and see how it performed, right? This is a fun process for me. Sometimes it does better than others in the initial auto design. One thing that I see right off the bat here is it put together these 2 images that didn't start the day. We had a drone out. And again, the auto design is using timestamp. Well, this drone was not synced up to the proper time. And so I'm just going to go ahead and grab this. I'm going to drag it down towards the end, and we'll figure out where it goes a little bit later. We'll put it with these other drone shots right here, okay? So again, it's just the drag and drop functionality is really cool. So from here, we're going to start finessing. So we've got the broom. Now we're going to start finessing this down, and we're going to go into not full needle mode. What's like a toothbrush? Let's say toothbrush, right? So look, I already know that we've got some black and white images, and without zooming in, I can simply grab it right from the spread, hover over there, and bring it in. Here's another black and white image that I know I'm going to want to use. So we can start to click into this and take a look at, finessing this a little bit more. I mean, honestly, I feel great about that. Let's go to the next spread. So we've got 3 images here. Not a super fan of what it auto-designed. I'm going to go ahead and click on layout. And here it's going to show me a number of layout options that I could go with. And so this one's kind of neat. I like that. Cool, we'll go with that, and we'll hop to the next spread. And so from here, again, I can quickly view the layout. I like this one down here. And I like how this image has this nice blues where all these colors are really similar. Maybe I like the lips a little bit bigger. And within this, I can just simply click on that, and I can subtly move it around. And so I'm going to be moving through this album really quickly, right? And just kind of flipping on these pictures, hopping over to layout, grabbing a layout that I like. And from here, I'm going to begin to, so I'm not a fan of that one, quickly moving stuff. I like that. I think that's cool. Okay, awesome. You got it. Now, as we keep sliding through this, I'm just going to flip through it really quickly and go through that whole process of designing things. A couple other things that I find really neat, like let's view this one here. For starters, again, if you're new to Fundy, you're going to have the layout system right here. It's going to show you this is where the spread is divided in half. These are some of your safe margins. Let's hop into something here. Let me do like a nice detail shots. So I'm going to create a new spread by just dragging this image right in between. It's going to create a brand new spread. I'll grab this one and populate it right there. I'm going to turn off my guides. So I think this is a beautiful spread for details here. Again, like you can simply drag a vertical, you could put it into horizontal slot. I mean, hopefully you guys have seen the power of Fundy, and I don't need to go too in depth with all of that. I'm gonna pull this image out here. They had this amazing menu, you guys. Like the food that was prepared for them was all custom done. Actually, let me hop into this. Let me show you. Where's the food? Where's the food? You guys, look at this. Let's go ahead and put all the food on one page. So we've got that. Let's zoom in here. They had, this is just like for my own joy to share with you guys now. They actually had gold leaf on top of this like risotto or something like that. It was nuts. Like we actually were like eating gold in Italy. It was crazy. Anyhow, I digress. So, there's some food there. And so anyhow, we're going to go through this process and just kind of finesse things through. Now, what I always do is I'm always going to be designing a larger album than what the client has. And I want to leave the needle for my client. I want to do the heavy lifting, all the pre-design work. And so you're going to see 82 pages up here. Well, most couples don't start their album at 82 pages. I would say most couples come into our studio with maybe a 30-page album, a 40-page album, right? And so when I come in with an 82-page album, I've got the bulk design work done. Then I get to sit down with the client. Let's hop over to here. I get to sit down with the client, and she gets to choose which of these images she likes the most. Even on this note, you guys, something I love is the way that we design albums is we're doing it, everything is in person. And so, all 4 of these images, these are like really, really similar. Like same exact location, the bride, the veil, but I'm just not 100% convinced which image I think Jamer is going to like the most. You see that? And so what I even will do sometimes, I'll intentionally build out, I think this should be a full page spread. So I will intentionally build out for my client 4 full page spreads with that image, right? And so that way, when they come in and they sit down, again, we're finishing with the needle. The client is going to do all the needle work. And so they get to look at all 4 of these images, and they get to say, you know what? We don't need this one here, and we don't need this one here. And you know what? Let's view these 2 back to back. yeah, I think I like seeing more of my face. And so we don't need this one here. And then I literally will do all this live with the client because of how fast Fundy works, because of how quickly I can actually operate the software. I mean, it's absolutely insane. Even this, like let's say there's a spread like this. The client, I sit down with the client, I give them, the permission, like, look, I've done the pre-design, but I really want you to be handpicking what are your absolute favorite images, what ones can go away. And let's say they identified this photograph right down here and they're like, this one needs to be a full spread. Easy. I can like on the fly, grab it, move it over here. It became a full page spread. But not only that, it auto redesigned these images to just like be gorgeous. It didn't just leave a blank spot. It actually reformatted this whole spread. Now I can go in here further and I can also do a few other things here too. Like I love that. But anyhow, you guys see how powerful this is. And so this is why every single client needs to have an album, because it's so easy, right? It's so easy. And I can almost guarantee that when you do it properly, they're going to be adding on pages. They're going to be falling so in love with the work, so in love with the experience that they had with you, that they're just going to want to add on more. And this gets back to what I was saying, you guys. It's one of the few marketing tools that you'll actually get paid for, because then this will be out in their house. So on this note, we would go through this whole process, design this album, client would have amazing. Let's talk about a couple other things that we can be doing to actually be generating more leads for our business. Because right now you've got an album in every client's hands. And that's great, but what about expanding this reach to mom and dad, right? Like, look, by all means, it would be amazing if mom and dad ordered a duplicate 10 by 10 album with leather and all that kind of stuff. And I would encourage you to really push in that direction to make sure that these images don't just are seen and experienced in the couple's hands, but that these photographs get experienced in the parents' hands. Like, I already know when my daughter gets married, like I want this, you guys, like I want this. I think so often we take away the freedom of choice. Let me hop back over to me here. I'm going to stop sharing. We take away the freedom of choice from our clients. We make the assumption, right? We make the assumption that my clients they don't want another album. My clients' parents, they've already spent enough money. They don't want these pictures. You guys don't choose for your clients. Don't remove their freedom of choice. Please offer your parents the opportunity to have these albums in their homes. Like,
yes, Ben, totally hear what you're saying. We had another question too. Claudia asked, and I think this is a good point to just back it up a little bit. Yeah. How do you best convince a client to get an album? Like, I think a lot of the photographers right now are still struggling with that first. How do we push the clients who say that they can't afford it or are asking if they can take an album out of a package? How do you make sure that doesn't happen?
Yeah, I mean, look, so for starters, it has to be built into every collection, but you're still going to get that request. I understand that. Someone is still going to say, hey, this is great and all. I'd love to go with you. Our price point is tight, our budget's tight. While we love your work, there's really no need for an album. And so if you can shed that off, take it off the $500 or whatever it may be, that would be amazing. We'd love to book you. I think at a certain point, you have to have your conviction. And this is really a brand positioning thing too. Like there are, like for us, this is a part of the whole process. This is in our marketing materials, on our website, it's in our contract. Like it happens, like it takes place over the phone when we're calling our clients to begin this whole thing, this whole conversation. Like, if you're not going to have something real at the end of this, I'm sorry, but I will not photograph your event. This is how important it is, because while I value digital, it's not like they're not getting digital. While I value digital, I want you to, by the way, this is me talking to Brad. I want you to have all those images digitally. I want you to share them on Facebook and Instagram. I want you to email them out to friends and family. I want you to have them backed up on a website. But candidly, you're not going to look at them. Like the reason that you're hiring us is to actually preserve these memories. Like I want it to be such a way that like you can't help but look at these photographs. Like every day you wake up and you walk down the stairs, there's a portrait of you and your husband hanging in the hallway. I want it to be that you can't help it when family and friends come over, they see your album sitting out and they just get nosy and they open it up and they ask you questions and you share stories and you guys laugh together and you bond over this. Like, and if that's not going to happen, then like, I think that somebody else is probably the better fit. And I think it really does take putting your foot down and owning this as something that you are so passionate and proud of. And the thing is this, when people see your passion and they see why, because you have to understand, I don't get offended when people ask. I don't get offended when people ask because they just don't know. Like most clients, they're looking at this and they just view it as a book. It's because they do not have perspective. We as photographers, we have this amazing gift. It's called perspective that we get to offer clients, right? It's the gift of perspective of what this album is. This is not just a book. This is not just like paper. This isn't just something that's like, yeah, it's a bonus. Like this is really the thing that when their little girl is getting married, that it sits out at her wedding. When the house is on fire, you grab the dog and you grab the album. It's the thing that preserves the day because again, it's actually going to be viewed. Like, look, when you open your junk drawer at your home or you open up a cabinet at your home and you see a CD sitting in there, do you like, what do you do with that? Do you look at it? Do you view it? No, like it's just like the thing that's amazing about print is there's serendipity. Like when you open up a junk drawer or a cabinet or a shelf and there's a physical print, you can't help but have those memories be brought back. And so I think it really is, it's a conviction thing. Like it truly is a conviction thing. And I think if you're struggling with the conviction of print, if you're struggling with believing that this is actually the best darn thing for your clients, it's because you don't believe it yourself. And the reason you don't believe it yourself is because you have not seen the power of print in your own life. You don't have an album of your kids. You don't have photographs on your wall. Or if you do, they're 5 years old, they're 10 years old. I think when you actually start seeing print in your own life, you know, the stories that you're going to be sharing with clients, it's not going to be the thick pages of Miller's. It's not going to be Miller's deep matte paper. It's not going to be the leather cover options. It's going to be you actually pulling in an album of your own and sharing a real story of that album. It's going to be you sharing a story of your 3-year-old daughter. This is me. Like my 3-year-old daughter came up the stairs carrying a 4x6 photograph of my grandma. My grandma's name is B. My daughter's name is B. And so at 3 years old, she came kind of stumbling up the stairs with this little 4x6 and she hands it to me and she says, "Who dat?" Right? Like, "Who dat, Daddy?" And I got this moment to sit down and actually talk to my daughter about who she was named after. Like that wouldn't have happened if it wasn't for print. Anyhow, it's a conviction thing. It absolutely is. It's a conviction thing. Does that help, Allie?
Yes. Yeah, that's great. Thank you. No, you're good.
Fired up about this stuff. And I feel like there was another point that I wanted to kind of give. And could you maybe ask the question one more time? Because I think I have something else to add.
Yes. So some clients say that they don't want an album or they want to get them for a lower price or they want it removed from the package. You know, how do you address that?
So a couple of thoughts. When I talked about the gift of perspective, like, can I like be honest? I got married 8 years ago. I pray that somebody would have given me perspective. You guys, I didn't have the same values that I have today. I look at my life 8 years later. My photographs were not great. I did not have an album that I'm proud of. And my grandma passed away. Again, going back to my grandma, like this is a really important part of my life because this again is who my daughter's named after. My grandma was just a huge person in my life. And so when she passed away shortly after my wedding, nobody stopped me and said, "Ben, wake up, remember, this is it. You don't get to go back. Like these are going to be the memories that you're going to have to share with your kids. Like, just remember that." Like, it's the same mentality of this is why sales isn't bad. Sales is amazing when you actually offer something of value. And when you know something that somebody else doesn't know. We recently built a home here in Ohio. And as we were building the home, you know, we were putting in the foundation. And the rocks in the soil was something that as we were already planning on doing some groundwork, some deck out back, that having those rocks taken out ahead of time now, where all the dirt is already like it's all ground up and everything, to have somebody come in and offer me this service now before I go in and we lay the grass and then eventually we've got to tear it all up in order to get all these stones out. Like, it was just one of these moments that like, this was something of value that I did not have the perspective to know myself. And I'm so thankful that they did sell me on that, because I bought with a smile on my face. And we cannot shortchange ourselves as photographers. So often we simply view ourselves as showing up at an hourly rate, clicking the shutter, and the pictures, that's the value that I give you. Right? I photograph some pics. Here's the value. There's so much more value that we have to give our clients, and we have the opportunity to share that perspective with them. And so, look, that's the first thing. Next thing is this: it's not all rainbows and sunshine. In our studio here, even with all of our branding and everything, we will have clients that'll come through. And look, I won't budge. We won't photograph a wedding unless you're gonna have print at the end of it. But maybe they don't upgrade anything, right? They zero upgrades. The album is they make the album, they strip everything down to the bare minimum album, and that's it. And it's okay. Here's the thing. I think I see this all the time in the photography industry, but honestly, all industry, we are always, just as people, we as people are always looking for excuses for why not to do the right thing. Just because somebody wants to take it out, just because 3 clients a year they don't upgrade anything, your upgrade is zero and you have to pay $200 out of pocket to buy an album. Just because that happens, don't use that as an excuse to justify not doing it because it's a little extra work. Like, I think we're always looking for a reason to not do something. And I just want to encourage you, don't do it. Like, you're going to have people that won't, but I promise you this, your averages will level out. While you'll have one person that doesn't spend anything, you're going to have another client that spends 10,000. It's an average game. And at the end of the day, it's not even about the money, because in every single person's home, they're going to have print. And it's also not even about the leads at that point. It's about the fact that you actually delivered value to the point that they have something real in their life and the images aren't dead online. I get pretty fired up about this stuff, Allie. Does that help? Any other questions on that?
I think that's good for that. We did have one question going back to how you were talking about your design process and how you do a little bit of the designing with the clients live. Yeah. And someone asked, how do you handle that? I find sometimes it takes months to get the design right. There's so many back and forth, those kind of like finicky clients. Do you have any tips for that?
Yeah, the tip is this. It's all about managing expectations and then knowing what you say no to, right? And so as I say managing expectations, before anybody books with us, I won't take your money until you understand the process, you understand the rules, right? And so in 8 to 10 weeks, we are going to schedule an ordering appointment. During that ordering appointment, we are going to be ordering your album. We're going to be doing all the heavy lifting, all the design work ahead of time. I want them to show up. It'll be great. We'll pop some champagne, bring anybody with them, mom, dad, people who are interested in ordering prints, ordering additional copies of the album. Bring them with you, right? But the ordering appointment takes place there, and it's live and it's in person. Okay. And if it's not in person, we're going to do it through Zoom, right? Something like this. It's just something that we explain right at the get-go of what's going to happen. And so when we do this, they know, and we're going to have a phone call even leading up to it. When we do this, they know that, like, I even tell them, I literally tell them, like, I actually call it what it is. I say, look, we're ordering it that night. It's going to take 3 hours to sit down. It may take 3 hours. I like to, again, under promise, over deliver. So it may take 3 hours, but we're going to do it this night, because if we don't do it this night, it will not happen. It's just not, right? You're going to sit there and you're going to keep picking your favorites, and a month's going to go by and 2 months is going to go by, and then you're going to get pregnant, and then you're going to get a dog, and then you're going to get a house. And so we ordered the album that night. Yeah. But even then, not everything's rainbows and sunshine, and you're going to get that one person that still is like, that still throws a wrench into things, but don't use it as an excuse to not do the thing.
Okay, cool. Yeah, I think if you want to carry on, we'll do a few more questions at the end as well.
Yeah. Okay, cool. So that's step 1, right? So again, I got 4 steps here in regards to actually increasing your bookings, boosting your business. And step 1 is making sure that every client has an album. The next thing is this. Right now we've really focused on the bride and the groom, but let's expand that reach to mom and dad. Let's kind of start working in the tightest circle, and we're going to network out. And so as we expand that reach to mom and dad, obviously, like I said, when we sit down with our couples, we're calling these order appointments, we're having a phone call leading up to it that's inviting whoever's interested in ordering prints, gift prints, wall art, or albums to please come. And so I want to encourage you guys to try to make those sales to parents, but sometimes it's not going to happen. I would say maybe even most times, like I'm not going to try to like sugarcoat it. It's like everyone's going to have their parents order extra albums. Like I don't want to sugarcoat it. It may not happen, but with Miller's, what I love is this. So here, let me hop back in. Let me share my screen. Share. Wait for it. Share. Okay, there it is. Okay, cool. So here we are back in Miller. So the album that I made is a 12 by 12 here. Well, we could easily go into here and I can create a duplicate album. And so something that I like to do is, so we're going to duplicate this album. And it's going to take the original design. It's going to just go ahead and duplicate it. We're going to go ahead and go into the duplicated version. So it says Illy copy. Let me hold on like a nice spread. There we go. I'm going to hop into here and I'm going to edit this. Well, I'm going to go ahead and call this 5 by 5. Miller's has these amazing little 5 by 5 books. And so when you go all the way back up here to the top, we're going to remake this album. So Miller's right here, we're going to go next. In terms of the album options, instead of the signature book, which is what I do for my parents, we're going to go, signature album. We're going to go to a signature book. Now, a signature book is going to be a more cost-effective book. It's going to be a press print book. But quite honestly, the felt paper from Miller's is incredible. It's a nice matte finish paper. It's not as deep as the deep matte, but it's a really nice matte finish. And then the signature book 5 by 5, right?
So Ben, Clint had a question. If clients can't afford a really expensive album, he doesn't want to make something that's cheap looking. Would you say that the signature book from Miller's is a good kind of more economical option that you could actually sell to a client as well?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I absolutely think so. But also, man, like the signature albums, like I think they're actually positioned in a really great price point. But look, if you're like pinching pennies here, then by all means go to the book. But the album is like the signature album is actually positioned in a really great way for Miller's to not kill you, is all I'm going to say. But yeah, the signature book is great. And so here we now have a 5 by 5, right? A 5 by 5 book. And so, right now we've got 84 pages. You guys, here, let me hop back to me here. You guys, it's a 5 by 5, 80-page book. It's an exact duplicate. This is why I like to work in square ratios, 12 by 12, 10 by 10, 8 by 8, and then again, going all the way down to this 5 by 5 book. Because I don't need to do any new design, right? It's just an exact duplicate of what they have. It's just shrunken down. And so now a 5 by 5, like imagine if I just gifted this. Imagine if their album showed up, or maybe I asked for their parents' address, and maybe I said, I have a little gift to give to your parents, as a thank you. And then this arrived, right? This arrived at their doorstep. A 5 by 5 album, like on average, you guys, it's probably on average, this is not like a hard and fast numbers, it's probably going to cost you out of pocket from that small size in the book format about $50. About $50 to explode someone's heart, to have them talking about you nonstop. And then on top of it, to once again, grow your reach, because now that 5 by 5 is in mom and dad's house. And not only is it in their house, but maybe it's a 5 by 5. And so they take it with them places. You know what I mean? And so now you've got an album in the bride and groom's house. You got an album in mom and dad's house. And you've given them such a great kind of value add that they can't help but talk about it. Now when people come over, they're like, and then the photographer just mailed this to us, right? For $50. It's really hard to beat that. I mean, my God, it's really hard to beat that, you guys. This is the second thing that you need to be doing if you're going to want to, again, increase your lead gen with your clients. So thoughts on that as I'm going to dive here into the next part, because the next part is kind of fun. We're actually going to really switch gears here away from albums for a minute, and we're going to talk about card designer. But Allie, I want to hop back over to you if there's any other thoughts.
Let me just take a look here. Craig is asking, how do you decide how to price an album? And then someone else asked, do you charge a similar amount for duplicate copies or?
Yeah, that's a great question.
Pricing is hard.
Yeah, pricing's hard. Look, pricing is an art and a science, so there's that. Okay, so I can't tell you this is exactly what you should be charging for your product, but I can say this: when you're talking about retail, you're going to be looking for a 70 to 90% profit margin. I'm not talking about a multiplier. I'm talking about a profit margin. If you look up online, a profit margin is there's a direct correlation to the multiplier. They could be doing some. I feel like a lot of photographers, a multiplying number is a little bit easier to understand. I prefer profit margin, 79% margin, because it tells me exactly out of every dollar that gets spent, how much I maintain. So for example, at a 90% profit margin, that means for every dollar that a client spends, I hold 90 cents of it. So it's just an easier way for me to actually compute those numbers. But 70 to 90% profit margin is recommended for retail. So again, that you're gonna notice it's a really wide range when you start actually plugging in what is a 70% profit margin. And so I think at a certain point, there's a little bit of art to it. You know what I mean? Like that's the science behind it. There's a little bit of art to it as well in terms of how to actually position those numbers. So that's what I would encourage with that. What was the other part of the question, Allie?
Do you price duplicate albums the same if someone were to want to buy a parent album or something?
No, absolutely not. Because again, you know, as you're looking at that 79% profit margin, you're also paying attention to just the amount of time that is going into it. Look, Fundy makes it incredibly efficient, incredibly fast. And nevertheless, there still is time. However, especially now, I think it's the companion albums. Is that what Miller's calls them? The companion albums? I'm trying to think of the exact terminology. I think it is companion.
I think it's companion, yeah.
Yeah, so now like with Miller's, there's companion albums where you can literally just do like, great, times 2. You know what I mean? Like when you go to order it, it's not the same thing. And so we actually have a flat number that's just like, look, an exact duplicate album at 8x8 size is a flat number, no matter what. And it also then encourages the client to increase their pages, because the more they increase their pages, if they're going to get a duplicate album, essentially the more value they get out of it, right? So for example, if a duplicate book is $500, no matter what, no matter how many pages in it, it kind of rewards the person if they make their book, 70 pages instead of 20, because that, if they're going to get a parent album, because then they're going to get those extra 70 pages as well in that parent album for the same price. Does that make sense?
Yes.
So yeah, I encourage a flat rate. It's just like, look, confusion is your enemy. You need to make, this stuff can get really confusing. And so the simpler you can make it, the better. Just say, look, any duplicate album is X amount. Cool. Any other questions?
Let's see, this is not super related, but Valerie's wondering, for your sample albums, do you only show samples of full wedding stories, or do you ever have a sample album that might have a mix?
Yeah, good question. That's gonna take me down to point 4. You know what? We're gonna do point 4 now. And
we're just gonna skip around.
I was gonna bet, like, if we're gonna be back to point 4, we'll come back to we'll just do that one now, and then we'll wrap up with card designer. So on the question of sample albums, look, if you don't have sample albums, if you're new to this whole album thing, I think that the temptation is to do a style shoot. The temptation is to choose your wedding from Italy. The temptation is to choose the dopiest of all dope weddings that you've ever photographed, or even to create a montage portfolio album and show that to your clients. I want to encourage you to not do that. If before you do anything else in regards to print, you need to experience the value of it in your own life. You need to go make an album of your own wedding. You need to go make an album of your honeymoon. You need to go make an album of your first kid's birth. You need to go make an album of your second kid's first year of life. You need to make an album of the vacation you took to Disney. Like you need an album that has a personal stories for yourself, right? Not only do you need, so for a side note, your family needs it, your wife needs it, your husband needs it, your kids need it. Right? Don't forget about yourself in this whole thing. Don't forget that this stuff actually has value and you're not just doing this to make a buck. So please, but if you're a photographer and you're always talking about albums and all this kind of stuff, your wife is probably sitting at home being like, when am I going to get the album from our wedding? When am I going to get the album from when B was a year old? When am I going to get the album? Right? Go and think about them and do that. And when you do, moments will occur in your life. And again, I go back to this. You will not be selling a client an album based off of the pages. You will not be selling them on hiring you because of the Italian leather. Like you're going to be telling a client stories in your own life that you're going to be so passionate about. Like if you guys hear any bit of passion in me, it's because I actually believe this stuff with a deep-hearted conviction because I've seen it in my world, right? And my clients see this too. And there's this really awesome thing about passion. People want to be a part of something that is bigger than themselves. And when they see passion in somebody else's heart, they want to be around that shit because it reverberates. It's like there's this little passion vibrating here and it just kind of starts spreading. You guys, it'll be the biggest thing you can do to sell more albums. It'll be the biggest thing you can do to provide more value to your clients. It'll be the biggest thing you can do, even just to book more clients. So that's step one. Going back to the question of, do you ever make like a montage album? Yes. After you've made an album that has personal meaning and value to you, then yes, you can absolutely certainly make full albums from the beginning to end of a wedding day, but why not, make a montage album? One of the things that we really value doing is there's a few key venues here that we love to shoot at. We want to partner with those vendors a lot more. And so we have vendor specific albums. This is the Columbus Museum of Art album, right? So it's this one album that is just brides from there. We have, the MMJ event album. She's a high-end designer and wedding planner here in Columbus. And we have an album dedicated just to her and all the weddings that we've done with her. And not only that, but they know we have it. We've taken it over and we've shown them. We've made them a duplicate copy and we've given it to them. And we let them know that we have our own copy and we're sharing with every single couple, every single lead who comes through our door. And so that gets into networking, partnerships and that kind of stuff. But yeah, I think it makes sense to do that. You still there, Allie?
I am here.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Anything else before I jump into Card Designer?
I don't think so. Victoria she did have one question about how you upsell. And I think this is kind of going back to, like, if you're charging a flat rate for the album, doesn't it get really expensive if you start adding stuff? But if you are you someone who goes through and charges by spread or by photo for extras?
Let's address the first thing. The first thing is you got to be smart with your numbers. Like you got to know your numbers, right? And so yes, it can get expensive if you don't know your numbers. If you're just pulling numbers out of thin air and you're kind of putting a flat rate on because it feels right. So you do have to know your numbers. You have to know what is the absolute top price point that it could be. Let's say it's a 12 by 12 album with 100 pages in it and there's a duplicate. What do you do? First off, all of our duplicates are always 8 by 8s. They're welcome to make it bigger, but at that point, it's a custom add-on. So our duplicate is a flat price, and the duplication that comes across is the duplicate design and page count. It doesn't duplicate, leather or linen. It doesn't duplicate gilding. It doesn't duplicate album size. It's always an 8 by 8 linen, but it does duplicate the pages and the design. And so I just need to know, what is a 100-page 8 by 8 album going to cost me? Okay, got to know your numbers. And then whatever your flat rate is, you have to make sure that it makes up for it. But understand this, if someone is going to do a 100-page 8 by 8 album duplicate, that's a flat rate, it's because they've already upgraded their album to 100 pages. Run the numbers when you're charging, again, going back to the second part of the question, per page, per album, per spread, per image, whatever you want to do, run the numbers. But if someone's going to upgrade all the way up to 100 pages, when they go to add on a duplicate book, you're going to be saying, yes, of course. What else can I do for you? Can I come over and give you a back rub too? So there's, it's like, you can't forget the first part of how that album got to be 100 pages in the first place before it was a duplicated at a flat rate. Does that make sense?
Yes, that helps. And then another question, just while we're paused right now, do clients see their online gallery before the order session? Nope. Or are you doing all of that live?
Nope, it all happens live. So look, we really value print. Obviously, we're here talking about albums today, but the very first time that a client sees their photographs, they're going to walk into our studio and we're going to have printed 16 by 20 matted framed about 30 pieces of artwork hung on a wall. That's how our clients see their image for the very first time.
Wow.
They're going to walk in, 30 images matted, framed, hung on a wall is how they're going to see it. Then, so again, they walk in through the door, heart explodes, they go around and they take images off the wall and they hold their pieces, right? And enjoy them and sit there and spend time on an image rather than just like flip. And then we sit down and we view the album and we view their photographs in narrative format in the pre-designed album that we've already created.
Great. Okay, I think that's it for right now.
They get the website of all the goods after that.
I gotcha. Okay. Cool.
Got it?
Mm-hmm.
We got about 10 minutes here. And so I don't want to miss this last one, because this last one is really great. Again, we're talking about things that you can be doing to increase your business, to increase your leads. And so really cool thing that Fundy's created, and it's coming out here, what, March? Is that right, Allie?
Yes, hopefully early March.
Okay, early March is Card Designer. And I'm going to hop back over here, screen share with you guys. Wait for it. Wait for it. I was looking for the screen share button. Where's that? Okay, I got it. Okay, so here we go. We're back here. We're gonna hop over. You're gonna notice this new little icon of a little card. And so we're gonna click on this and we're gonna go new card. Now, what we like to do, sure, we'll do a 5x7 horizontal. That sounds good. Maybe we'll do a horizontal fold. We'll do like an actual little card, okay? So here you're gonna notice in the new card designer, you can choose standard sizes of cards. You can choose orientation, vertical fold, horizontal. In my particular choice, I'm going to choose horizontal fold. I'm going to say thank you. Now, again, we're a wedding photography studio, and so thank you cards are really important after the wedding. But I'm actually going to go about this in a different way. By all means, you can make these for your bride. But I'm going to show you something here. So I'm going to save that. So here we're going to see a few different designs, right? And so let me see if I close this here. Okay, so this is like our basic card designer. If we click on this icon here, there's going to be the images. This right here is just going to be patterns, backgrounds, that kind of stuff. I usually don't touch any of that. Over here, though, are these new amazing design elements, you guys. Fundy, I don't know how you guys did this, but you guys created all these really awesome design elements, and this isn't even all of them.
Very carefully.
Very carefully. Let me go ahead. And I'm going to click on layouts here. I'm going to explain how we use these cards in a minute, you guys, because that's the strategy. I'm going to click on layouts, and it's going to show me a couple different layouts that we could use. And what this is showing here is on the top left is the front. The middle area here is where the card is folded open. And then this is the back. Now I could choose any of these, but check this out. I'm going to go to Design Library, and I'm going to open this up. Inside Design Library, you guys, is this massive amount of pre-designed opportunities that you guys have for designing cards for your clients. Like check these things out. Like there's just so many, like a ton of just incredible graphic designs. And even as you're seeing some of these typography elements, you have access to those. Those are all design elements that you have. And so when you load this, it's not going to be blank. You don't have to type, like on this example, Noel, like it's just there. Now you can go up here, and I'm just going to organize these based off a thank you, because I'm going to do a thank you card. And, you know, maybe I'll do something like this. Okay, cool. So I'm going to click on it. And it said installed. Let's maybe do one that is not installed so you guys can see that. Sure. I'll do this one. So that one's installed too. Great. That one's installed too. I'm trying to find one that's not installed. We'll always do this one. So I'm going to choose it. And when I choose it, it's going to go ahead and spin this little guy, and it's going to download it to my library. It is now installed. And you're going to see it now populated down here for me to use. Anyhow, long story short, let me go ahead. I'm just going to choose this one, right? And then all I can do is I can just drag in an image just like this. Then I can change out my name. I can change the address. Let me change, let me go to a new one here as well. Let's do this. Okay, thanks a bunch. I like that. That's pretty cool. I'm going to get into how this works out. Well, actually, let me finish this up. Let me choose another one just to show you guys how neat this is. Let's go with this route here. Now, again, these text elements, you guys, like it just showed up right over the middle of my image and it kind of killed that. I can take this thing and I can move this wherever I want, right? I can shrink this guy down. I could put it maybe just like this. And like if it's not perfectly centered, I'm going to click on this icon here. Ooh, okay, let me do that one. There we go. Center that thing up right there. I kind of like that. That's neat. So this would be a card, right? Let me do one more option. That's pretty dope. Many thanks. Maybe I'll bring it up above the home. That's kind of cool. I'm just going to go ahead and make sure that's centered. Okay, awesome. I like this one. This is the front of the card. I'm going to click over to the right. This is going to be the inside of the card. I'm going to actually send this to my own studio where I'm going to fill this out. And then over here is the back. So here we've got a studio logo kind of base. Well, I can click on my design elements, and you guys, you can load in your own studio logo and just drop it right in there. I can choose this down here and edit this to be my own studio's website. Let's do caps lock. Style, story, creative. Did I spell it right? I did not. Wait for it. There we go, stylestorycreative.com, right? And you can plug in your phone number and address and all that kind of good stuff. And so there we go. Now, what I'm going to do with this, let me kind of show you guys what I'm going to do with these, because I'm going to, and then so from here, sorry, side note, is we're going to go ahead and, where's my ordering? It went off. I think Zoom is kind of.
Are you lagging a little bit?
Yeah, Zoom may have messed with my thing. Looks like my screen's paused. Okay,
so
anyhow.
Yeah, to order, you should just be able to click that button in the top right with the little arrow.
Oh, is it? There it is. Sorry, the webinar was blocking that button.
Oh, okay, yeah, I can see it. We can see it on our end, I think.
Okay, cool. I was like, where'd my button go? Okay, cool. Let me hop back here 1 second. So yeah, so we can just click this. And now from here, I could export it for print. Eventually, we're going to be able to direct order right from Miller's. But I can order as many of these as I want. And I'm going to order usually about 20 right off the get-go. Let me hop back to me here. You guys can see what I'm thinking here. So what I do, this is so critical, guys. This is so huge. If you want to get more leads in the door, we produce these cards, okay? And we send about 20 of them back to our studio. With Miller's, it's like next day. Like, this is what I love about Miller's, you guys. It's going to be like next day shipped. I can't promise that. Maybe it'll be like 2 days, but it's like, it's so freaky fast how quickly it'll get to your studio. It'll literally, it'll blow your mind. So you come back from the event and you create these cards right here in Fundy super fast. Again, all these different designs. And I order about 20 of them. And you guys, we send these cards out to the bridal party right out the get-go. I'm sending these out to every single bridesmaid and groomsman. And it's usually a photograph. When I do a bridal party, this wedding, there was no bridal party. It was just, it was like an elopement. But usually it'd be the main image that I'll use is an image of the entire bridal party, right? And it'll just be a thank you. And I'll just write a quick thank you note to them, just saying, thank you for being like so fun on the day. Like, you guys honestly, look, the wedding was amazing. It was fun, but you guys made it. Thanks for being rad. And that's it. And we send it to them. You guys, this is something, by the way, that there's a great friend. He's actually out in Portland. Robert J. Hill does. I did not come up with this. I learned it from Robert J. Hill. I've just tweaked it to incorporate Fundy in order to make these cards right from it. But it's something that when you do this, you're reaching out and you're thanking that bridal party who are your next clients. These guys are your next clients. I'm telling you, it will increase your word of mouth. It's going to increase the amount of leads that are coming into your studio. And it's so affordable to do, cost effective to do. And when you do it, guess who's going to call you up and say, OMG, we just saw these thank you cards. Can we order some of these and send these out to all of our guests?
Yeah.
Why, yes, you can.
Yes, you can.
Yes, you can, right? You guys start doing this stuff. Use Card Designer and the reason why you use Miller's for it, again, A, customer service, B, the integration with Fundy, but C, it's going to be there so fast, you guys. It's going to show up in you and speed. It's all about speed, right? After the wedding, it's all about speed and getting those thank you cards out. There you go. You guys, 4 things you need to be doing. How do we do, Allie? It's 1:59. I nailed it.
We did a really good job.
Yeah,
it looks like we had a couple people ask, and this is a good question. How do you get the addresses for the entire wedding party?
Ask for them. How do you get anything in life? You ask for it.
Just ask for it.
We have it built into we've got a whole customer workflow built into Tave that we're using. And so there's just an automatic email that gets sent out after the wedding that says, we'd love to send over your bridal party a nice little thank you. Do you have a list of addresses that you could send us?
Awesome.
And along with, there's a few more things that we say in there. We said we'd like to send it to you and your mom and dad too. Mm-hmm. And so it's that way, it's just less work for them to do, more of it's also something for them and their parents as well.
Great.
You got it, Claudia.
Yeah, so it looks like that's about it for questions. Wow, we're perfect on time. I'm very impressed with us.
Allie, we are good.
I had so much to do with it, as you can see. But anyways, you guys, we're so excited to launch Card Designer and all the other updates coming to Fundy. It's just big stuff going on. We just want to make your lives easier. We're here. Our support team is here if you have more questions. I run the marketing department. Reach out to me. Yeah, we're just really excited. And thank you, Ben, so much for your time. Yeah. Really good stuff. Really good stuff.
Awesome. You guys go check out stylestorycreative.com, see our work, see what we're up to here in Columbus, Ohio. Leave us a note.
Good stuff. And anyone coming to WPPI, come see us at the booth. We'll be really close to Miller's, so we'll have some card samples, and we'll be demoing the new Card Designer. Really excited. So just a few weeks away.
I love it. As well, I'll be doing a masterclass at WPPI. Woo! Yeah, entirely about how to book up your calendar. So, drop me a line if you have any questions on it. It's on Tuesday, I think. So, and I'll be at the Fundy booth too. I'll be hanging out with you guys at Fundy.
You'll be there, yeah.
Just find me. You can't miss me, right? That's my hope.
Cool. And anyone, if you missed the beginning of this webinar, it's recorded, so it'll be up on our blog soon.
Nice.
Check back, take some notes.
Sweet. Thanks, Allie. Thanks, everyone, for listening. Thank you for your time and attention. I really appreciate you guys.
Thanks, everyone. We'll talk to you soon.
Bye.